Diverse groups of people with varying personalities and skill sets were tasked to solve challenging strategy games as a team. Each member's total speaking time was carefully measured, as well as the substance of their utterances. Afterwards, the subjects were all asked to nominate other group members for leadership positions. The results weren't even close. Speaking time had by far the highest correlation with leadership emergence, beating out intelligence, agreeableness, game proficiency, and even extroversion. The only other factor that came close was gender. While the study doesn't purport to explain the psychological factors behind it, it seems likely that humans use quantity of speech as a mental shortcut to determine who would make a good leader. If everyone else is listening to this guy, maybe I should too. But not all leaders are cult leaders.
Of course.
In her book Cultish, linguist Amanda Montell seeks to tease out some common linguistic features of the men and women who run so-called destructive cults, authoritarian groups that exploit or otherwise cause harm to their members. And one of the most common is loaded language. Loaded language is a general term for words or phrases that have deep emotional associations for the listener, like genocide, patriot, toxic, or vermin. Cult leaders will craft their loaded language to have specific connotations. David Koresh used the phrase new light to cast his teachings as divine inspiration. Charles Manson repurposed the Beatles song lyric Helter Skelter to refer to an imminent race war. And Jim Jones borrowed the term revolutionary suicide from Black Panther activists to equate his plan for mass suicide with resistance to authoritarian state power. Through repetition, these leaders ingrain an intense emotional association in their followers' psyche, so that eventually, just invoking a short phrase can...
Yes, of course, it's going to be repetition. This is the same with propagandistic systems. So even though you remove kind of the mythological or religious aspect that many, not all cults have, you still have a similar pathway. And it was exploited, for instance, in the Hitler's Youth, and the way they would teach you, but even utilizing the new technology, whether it be radio, TV, absolutely.
Instantly summon powerful feelings of beauty, love, fear, or hatred.
Yeah.
It's like creating linguistic buttons that can be pushed to generate an immediate response.
That's insane.
Another trick in the cult leader's language toolkit is the thought-terminating cliche. These are sayings that end uncomfortable conversations or trains of thoughts. It is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. Let's agree to disagree.
Yep.
They shut down argument and critical thinking, which is...
Well, sometimes let's agree to disagree. It's the best thing to say. And with some people, I was going to say that. I'm going to agree with the cult leaders on that one.
a reason. Let's agree to disagree. They shut down argument and critical thinking, which is why they're so handy to authoritarians who don't like to be questioned. Charles Manson countered any rational objections to his ravings by saying, "No sense makes sense." Try arguing with that. T and Doe, the leaders of the Heaven's Gate cult, would tell skeptical listeners that they didn't have the gift of recognition. And Warren Jeffs, leader of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, admonished dissatisfied female congregants to keep sweet.
Hold on a minute. This last one is kind of strange. What is the fundamental... Wait a minute. Okay, let me see. So this guy is a UFO guy, and he said you don't have the gift. Makes sense. Is blaming the person who is the skeptic. It's a bit like those chi masters that tell you, yeah, it's because you're a non-believer. So if you don't believe that the chi is a thing, then it's not going to work on you. That's why when I do it, which it's the stupidest thing ever, of course. This is ridiculous. So this guy was saying the same thing. Oh, it's not that it's not making sense. It's because you don't have the gift. So it's your fault. It's not my fault. It's a transference of... I understand. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much.
Recognition. And Warren Jeffs, leader of the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm going to have to Google this one. I don't know what she's on about, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is the Mormon church. But that's not the leader, so which one is it? Fundamentalist group that still practice polygamy. Okay, so it's a different thing. It's a branch off. Yeah, it's a branch off. So it's not the LDS church, but it's a separated branch that has nothing to do with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints anymore. Interesting. When did they separate? After the death of Joseph Smith? Because I've never heard of that. Branched from the Priesthood Council. Separation, Centennial Park Church of Jesus Christ, Inc. Other names. First Ward, Fundamentalists. Man, I never heard of that. I knew there was a separation with those that wanted to go with Joseph Smith's son and those that went with Brigham Young, which is the major branch, but I did not know that there was a fundamentalist version. Crazy. Man, the more you know.
Admonished dissatisfied female congregants to keep sweet. Thought-terminating cliches are a two-way street. They allow the leader to avoid threatening questions while giving followers permission to ignore their cognitive dissonance. Not sure whether you're doing the right thing? Well, it's out of our hands, as Jim Jones would say. You might be thinking that these traits aren't exclusive to cults. After all, mainstream religions are full of loaded language like heaven and hell.
Well, of course, there are some similarities, I say as a religious man.
And thought-terminating cliches like God works in mysterious ways.
Right.
A linguistic study from 2021 analyzed the speeches of destructive cult leaders like Jim Jones and Marshall Applewhite and compared them to those of mainstream religious leaders like Billy Graham and Rick Warren. And while there were some similarities, there were also some stark differences.
Yeah, of course.
For one, cult leaders' speech tends to be highly elaborative, using words like that, which, would, and because to create novel worlds full of complex rules and causalities. Mainstream preachers, by contrast, don't have to explain new systems of morality and spiritualism, but instead work from those their audiences are already familiar with.
Yes.
They also found that cult leaders favored the pronouns us and them, while mainstream religious leaders preferred you.
Yeah,
This is
sense.
consistent with cults' tendency to reinforce in-group, out-group dynamics.
Yeah, these dynamics have been with us since the Paleolithic, it's unquestionable. And up to a certain extent, they can also find work for preservation, for self-preservation, either at the tribal level, like your people against the other people. And sometimes the other peoples are a threat, but other times they're not. And so I think cult leaders are absolutely exploiting that, and basically they are turning others into threats, even though they're not threats, because by the simple idea of not wanting to join the cult. It's because it's archaic, it's ancestral. The us and them, inward, outward.
Through language. Members of Heaven's Gate believed themselves to be evolved and next level, while outsiders were stuck on the human level. NXIVM labeled unbelievers suppressives, and Scientology uses the derogatory wogs to refer to non-Scientologists.
What does that mean?
Perhaps the most efficient linguistic tactic for reinforcing an us versus them mentality is the use of jargon. While specialized vocabularies are necessary in many professions, cults use them for a secondary social purpose, to determine who is a trusted part of the family and who is an outsider to be avoided.
Right.
Members of Heaven's Gate called their bodies vehicles and their group the classroom. They didn't say kitchen or laundry room, but Nutrilab and Fiber Lab. NXIVM, the multi-level marketing company turned sex trafficking cult, performed integrations to rid members of their mental dysfunctions, known as disintegrations. And the jargon of Scientology can quite literally fill a 300-page dictionary, which members were forced to study for hours on end. A 2020 study by researchers from Columbia University and USC examined the relationship between jargon and self-perception. They analyzed the writings of a broad spectrum of graduate students and found
the ontological dichotomy of form and function as posited by Darren Dean deconstruction precipitates an epistemological inquiry into the interstitial liminality. Liminal, I understand, but interstitial, I've never heard of this word. I don't know this word. Palimpsestic, I don't know this word either. The rest, it's normal vocabulary that you would use in an academic paper. So the rest is not too bad, but
that the lower the ranking of the university the student attended, the higher the frequency of unnecessary jargon. Students from high-status schools tended to communicate more simply and clearly. They also invited business school students to pitch ideas to a panel of experts, Shark Tank style, but manipulated their feelings of status beforehand. Some were told that their competitors were successful entrepreneurs, while others were told they were competing against high school kids. Those that had been made to feel inferior were more likely to use jargon in their pitches. The researchers concluded that jargon can function as a kind of linguistic conspicuous consumption, advertising a higher status using words. Many ex-members of cults support this hypothesis, recollecting the early thrill of learning a mysterious terminology. Like kids sharing a secret code in a clubhouse, it made them feel part of an exclusive group, which gave them a sense of superiority. In her book, Montel offers evidence that these linguistic tactics have seeped.
I'm gonna have to get this book, to be honest, because I've never read it. The Language of Fanaticism, Cultish, Amanda Montel. I'll have to look it up because that would be a fantastic addition to the language sector of my library. It's a little modest, the library. I don't have that many books, unfortunately, anymore. A lot of the books I left in the old world. But this would be a nice addition. Maybe I would put it right next to Brunel's book, Freud's nephew.
Out from cults and into wider society. Propelled by capitalist demands and the reach of social media, the language of cults, she says, is now everywhere. If you question the business model of a multi-level marketing scheme, well, that's just stinking thinking, a thought-terminating cliche popular with MLMs like Amway. Similarly, when the predictions of QAnon and other conspiracy theorists don't come to pass, followers on social media are told to trust the plan. Corporations employ mantras full of loaded language to enforce obedience.
What does 6th of July have to do with that, though? I don't understand the connection.
Like Jeff Bezos' leadership principles, which include think big and dive deep. Politics is rife with us versus them terminology, so that everyone is either a patriot or a traitor. And fitness centers like SoulCycle or CrossFit use jargon like box, WOD, tapbacks, or DOMs to make membership feel exclusive. Montel argues that as traditional institutions like churches, clubs, and unions have declined in popularity, people are desperate for new ways to feel a sense of belonging, and the majority turn to social media. Online wellness gurus like Teal Swan and Bentino Massaro.
I haven't got a clue who these people are. Maybe I'm out of the loop, which could be a positive thing. Have you guys ever heard of these?
Have been accused of cult-like behavior, though they deny it. Technology has vastly lowered the bar, allowing them to
I've been accused of being a cult leader, but I think it's the hair. I think it's the hair. Can you blame them?
Influence an infinite number of followers from the comfort of their own homes. Say what you want about Jim Jones, the guy could talk for hours IRL without editing. Meanwhile, TikTokers are competing to coin the next trendy phrase like polywork, micro-cheating, or 75 cozy. This online jargon has little functional purpose, other than to create a sense of community amongst the people who know it, and confer status in the form of viral views to the ones who can successfully get others to adopt it. In a widely read essay in The Cut, financial columnist Charlotte Cowles explained in detail how she was talked into handing a box of $50,000 in cash to a stranger.
What? Well, that's because she's an idiot, though. I mean, like, what? I think someone could use whatever jargon they want with me or you at this point and speak for like 3 days in a row. I'm still not going to give him a box with $50,000. Are you out of your mind? What the heck happened?
The linguistic tactics the scammers used were compared to how police may coerce a false confession from a suspect, but could just as well apply to cult indoctrination. They do it incrementally, in a series of small steps that take you farther and farther from what you know to be true. It's not about breaking the will, they were altering the sense of reality. Montel cites the French philosopher Maurice Merleau-Ponty, who stated that language was our element as water is the element of fish.
Nice.
Your perception of...
That's actually very nice. Think about it. What are the implications of this? Language, because we are surrounded by it, although we produce it, so there's a difference with fish, I suppose. Maybe we could find another. But I do like it. I do like that we are immersed and submerged in the language. I'm trying to think. Maybe another analogy could be that language is like oxygen for trees, because trees produce the oxygen, but then they are surrounded by it. Maybe?
Reality depends less on the physical things you see than the words you hear. Language empowers cult leaders to create a mini universe, as Montel puts it, around their followers. The defense of that is not to block out language, but to hear more of it from as many sources as possible. That way, no one person has the power to shape your reality.
And that's why cult leaders don't want to do that. And they're like, don't talk to if your family members, cut them off. This is your family. They do that absolutely to prevent that, because she's right. That's the key to avoid the mental conditioning of cult leaders. Not that I'm not an expert, but I've watched a couple of videos of experts, and I do recall that they were mentioning a couple of these things, and now they're just coming back into my mind.
Nixium,
Cool.
the multi-level marketing company turned
Okay.
sex trafficking cult, performed integrations to rid members of their mental dysfunction.
What did she say?
Oops. I don't think we can say that.
You can't say that. I don't know what it is, but... Alright, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Link in the description for the channel if you liked it. And do make sure to subscribe to them. Give them a like, give them a comment, and rewatch the entire video so that they get the full view as well. Thank you. Bye. Hold it there, traveler. Do you know what this is? This is my Twitch channel called Metatron Gemini. I play a lot of games, it's a lot of fun. So don't be a muppet and click the link in the description box. Look, I even put it as a pinned comment. What else do you want me to do? I made it so easy. Come on. Follow me on Twitch. See you there.